How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Tap the banner or visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
War Eagle, and welcome to Ever to Podcast. This is our show at E2C Network where our goal is to catch you up on the latest Auburn news, topics, information, things that you need to be aware of as an Auburn family member when you're out about discussing things in the Auburn experience. It can be about Auburn sports, could be about Auburn culture. It also could just be about the Auburn family. The better way to say it, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're doing today. Ever to Podcast, episode 87. Today's date is February 13th, 2026. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis. We're going to go through all the different subcategories we can to catch you up across Auburn sports, culture, and family. And at the end, we'll catch you up on, or get you ready, I should say, for the Auburn weekend at hand, especially for sports stuff. So let's jump right into it. We'll start off, as we have lately, with an Auburn in the Pros update. There's some movement in professional soccer for Auburn sports information for you to know. Erin Fleury is a name that you probably remember from this past season because she scored, and I do mean this pun appropriately, in flurries. I mean, I think it was like 6 goals she had in one game. She just got signed by Thor/KA. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to say, I guess, Thor KA, but that's a professional team overseas in Iceland, of all places. So she's gotten signed over there for an opportunity to go play that. That is Erin Fleury again. So congratulations to her to start off our Auburn in the Pros segment. The biggest Auburn in the Pros story of this past week was Auburn in the Super Bowl. And there was plenty of people that you could have rooted for, one on each other side and one on the winning side. That is the Seattle Seahawks, so congratulations to them. But for more appropriately, on our purposes here, congratulations to our Auburn guys that won their Super Bowl. Most of them, I believe, if not all, maybe one has already had a Super Bowl for the very first time, Super Bowl champions. 2 as players, Derek Hall and also Nehemiah Pritchett, as former players and current coaches on the Baltimore, excuse me. I'm still thinking about Josh Bynes there on the Seattle Seahawks. They're both birds after all. Josh Bynes, who is a coach there, as well as Nico Thorpe, who previously was a player for the Seattle Seahawks. So all are now Super Bowl champions. Congratulations to those guys. But a little bit more detail about the guy who had the biggest day on the Super Bowl as far as Auburn people. And to be honest, Carlton Davis had some great moments for the Patriots. Nehemiah Pritchett had some great special teams moments. I heard his name called several times. But Derek Hall arguably was a humongous factor in this Super Bowl win, which was really a defensive game and a defensive dominance for the Seattle Seahawks. 2 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble for him, setting up what was going to be a just manhandling of their opponent in the Super Bowl. So there were conversations for him to be a potential MVP going into the game, but I think some others really pulled themselves further into that conversation as the game went on. But congratulations for a great beginning to his career, already a Super Bowl champion, Derek Hall. Now on to baseball news, which, let's be honest, that's probably the thing right now for the Auburn family that is most in front of your minds. A lot of hype around this year, so we got a lot of things to talk about as we prepare for opening weekend. Speaking of which, you've got your game time set already if you haven't seen already.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
depending on when you're listening to this, if you're listening to this when it comes out on Friday, 5:30 p.m., Saturday, 6 p.m., and then Sunday, 2 p.m. You're going to see this a lot. That's typically the range of times that you see on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, all for the Youngstown State games when they are in town from Ohio. Let's talk about some more rankings. D1 Baseball put out their preseason rankings for player rankings. Now, you can go look at their full list if you want to see that. I'm not going to go through the entirety of it. Obviously, you're going to see a ton of your regular people that you're expecting to see there. Your Bub Terrells, Chris Remberts, a lot of others that people aren't talking about maybe as much. Todd Clay, Eric Guevara, Chase Fralick is obviously in there, Jake Marciano, Ryan Hetzler, lots of other names too. So go check that out if you haven't. D1 Baseball's preseason player rankings, to be specific. Also, in somewhat related news here this week for baseball, they released footage from inside the new baseball team facility. Now, what do I mean by that? If you remember when Plainsman Park began its 3-year renovation, it started with the below there with some of the fan experience stuff, creating some more seating opportunities, and then it moved even further into the right field expansion, including out in left field, though, a War Eagle wall enhancement. And their final piece was going to be some more team support staff and support staff spaces and things like that, team spaces. And they put out a video showing a lot of that. So if you want to see a little bit of insight into that, I would highly recommend going to check that out so you can get the information. Yet another ranking came out for teams, and Auburn is still a unanimous top 10 team. The NCBWA preseason top 10 has Auburn as number 8. So I think it's number 10, a couple of 9s, an 8, I think a 7, and then like a 5, if I'm remembering all of them correctly. But the point of this is continuing to be a consensus top 10 team for Auburn baseball. Still with Auburn baseball news here, they've got a bunch of promotions they released this year. If you want to go check out that full list, I would highly recommend it. Maybe it can help plan one of these series that you're going to be attending at Plainsman Park, all the way through non-conference and things like that. So check that out. Everything from Military Appreciation, Eagles Night, which makes me wonder if that's going to have an War Eagle flight with it. Seems pretty appropriate. St. Patrick's Day means probably going to be some interesting uniform choices there, maybe. Alumni weekends, those are always fun to see those people come back. Go check out all those promotions for Auburn baseball if you're coming this year. Ryan Hetzler got a little bit of a shout out from the NCBWA as Stopper of the Year award watch list, as well as making their 4th team All-America list. So he's finally getting a little bit of a shout out. Alongside your game times, which we talked about for this week, everybody's big question was, what's the rotation going to look like? And it's probably a little bit different than some of the publications out there led you to believe. Maybe not too much. Marciano is going to lead off on Friday, Sanders on Saturday, and then Petrovic, a name that you're probably familiar with, will do Sunday as well. And coaches reiterated, whether we're talking about pitching, batting, fielding, these first couple of series is all about trying to figure out who gives Auburn the best chance to win, the best group to start and fill in the role positions throughout the team. So there you have that. And check out, it's the full website is auburntigers.com/plainsman. It's going to be a full thing for you to know how to get around the park, parking info, concession options, which there are a lot in Plainsman Park now, interactive map. Check that out if you're an Auburn fan coming to an Auburn baseball game. And I think that is all we had. But this is kind of related. This is more of a softball, what we're moving into now. But there's a lot of commemorative stuff going on for Mike Cooper. You'll remember he was the helmet guy that led a lot of cheers at baseball and softball, who tragically passed away, in recent months. And so it's obviously a very sad time there, but they're certainly doing a great job of recognizing him. Softball as well, some of their promotions for this week, helmet guy commemorative mini helmet, trucker hat on Friday, and then you're going to get, it's Valentine's Day on Saturday for their last game of this tournament. So they'll be doing some things for Valentine's Day with some custom conversation hearts if you want to go get those. They released that they're going to have a new foul ball policy. So the policy is as such. Fans may keep or trade in all foul balls at Auburn softball games and receive an autographed softball while supplies last. So again, your choices are keep it or trade it in for an autographed softball. It's a cool little policy that I've never heard of this before, but be interesting to see how often this gets utilized this year. And I have a feeling that it's going to be a big hit for Auburn softball fans. They are beginning their tournament that they're hosting this week, and they did it in fine fashion, taking down Illinois in 5 innings, 8-0. So great start for them. More to discuss on the weekend ahead just shortly when we talk about all the things that are going on for Auburn sports on your weekend. And we've talked about some of the promotions and things out there that were available for them already for softball, so just keep that in mind. They'll have some more as well. Some tennis news. Now, I know I was hyping up this women's tennis team, and I still am, and I was hoping that we were going to be able to talk about them winning the ITA championship. Sadly, even as the number 1 seed, they fell to the number 1 team in the rankings, Georgia, who was a number 2 seed, 3-4, so very close match. They fall in the semifinals. I don't know who won the ITA championships. I would assume Georgia based off their performance. Beating Auburn's pretty impressive, but they had a great tournament despite the loss in the semifinals, and you had to lose. If you had to lose, you lost to, at least in the rankings, the best team currently right now, which brings us to your all-tournament team for the ITA tournament. 2 Auburn representatives in that. A doubles representative, Esposito, and Miss Angela. I'm going to not mispronounce your last name there. And several of these last names I'm just not going to pronounce. You had 2 double representatives in the all-tournament team. I'll do my best to start learning their names so I can give them better shout-outs. And because of their performance in the ITA championships, even with the loss there, they did not fall, still at number 4, still in the top 5, Auburn women's tennis. Some basketball talk now. There was a nice promotion this week with the midweek game where the Lettermen were invited back to recognize a bunch of them. But for me personally, and a lot of you, we got to see Coach Sonny Smith, who's no longer doing the color commentary on the radio, but he was out there and with his family. So nice to see them and him being brought out for honoring. A lot of people were happy to see Coach Sonny Smith out there, legendary Auburn basketball coach. The basketball team did lose to Vanderbilt. I think it was like the first time in 10 years at home that's happened, 76-84. Vanderbilt's a good basketball team, but this one was a little bit disappointing. It felt like Auburn really could have taken advantage of this week to really get the ship going in the right way, and that certainly wasn't a great start to it. It has a lot of people discouraged. I get it. But anyway, moving on. Auburn men's golf. You heard us talk about it on the Auburn Experience show, everything. What a week they had. What a week Jackson Coiven had. They are currently listed as number 2 overall in the scoreboard rankings, and deservedly so. A couple of other players got recognition because of that week. SEC freshman of the week, Jake Albert was named that, I assume for the first time for him. I don't know if it was or not. And then, of course, your golfer of the week, Jackson Coiven for the SEC. You broke Tiger Woods' college record. I mean, if you didn't get SEC Golfer of the Week, what are we doing here? So congrats to him as well. Women's golf is currently ranked number 8 in the scoreboard rankings as well, which seems to be the prominent ranking system to pay attention to for that. All right, on to football news. Some things to get you excited about as we approach closer and closer to spring ball. Byron Brown in the PFF College analysis group, I guess I'll call them. They do a lot of analytics and things, how to grade players out. They have given him an 85.7 passing grade and an 86.2 rushing grade, which makes him the only quarterback in their system with 85 plus grades for both those categories. So very impressive. Should make you very excited about what Auburn has in their new QB1. And if you're interested in getting to meet him, it looks like he's going to be making appearances at some of the launch series with Coach Galesh that they're going to be having up and down different places, especially in Alabama. There was one for Huntsville that they're talking about, all that kind of stuff. This isn't really something that I think a lot of people want to hear a ton about, but we want to share some unique things here. If you are a student and wanting to be a student equipment manager, they're now hiring. So this is a great opportunity, new era of football. Maybe you're a a parent of a Auburn student that might want to do something like this, let them know. And you can certainly sign up to do that, or not sign up, but be hired and interviewed to be part of the equipment staff as a student. A little bit more football here. On3 came out with their hardest 2026 college football schedules, and I believe this was by Crane and Cone. Now, not Crane and Co. They put Auburn as the number 5 hardest schedule. If you're curious who's ahead of them, Ohio State, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, then Auburn, behind them Michigan, Ole Miss, Florida, LSU, and Kentucky. Poor old Kentucky. But Auburn's got the number 5 hardest schedule according to On3 and a couple of their commentators over there. Senior Bowl invites are coming. Senior Bowl, we already did that. I'm sorry. We're moving on from that. The NFL Draft Combine. 6 people haven't been invited from the Auburn football team. Keyron Crawford, Keldrick Falk, Bobby Jamison Travis, Connor Liu, Dylan Wade, and Jeremiah Wright. All guys across the line there, essentially the front people. Probably some of the stronger representatives of each of those groups. Definitely Keldrick, you knew was going to get the invite, and Keyron, Profi, Connor Liu. Nice to see some of these other guys that have started to draw some attention to themselves from their performances in the Senior Bowl, get those combine invites. So I hope they'll have a great time there. It's something for you to pay attention to. Today, a little bit of new news for football. Their number 2 commitment in the 2027 class has arrived. Donovan Moore out of Hueytown has arrived here at Auburn to be part of the class, and the number 2 one in their class right now. You can go check out rankings and stars if you're interested in those things. We're really just focused on the facts here, welcoming Donovan Moore into the 2027 class. A little bit of soccer news and signing. They signed Sienna Waring, I believe is how you pronounce that, from Manchester United's Women's Academy, one of England's top young midfielders. And there was a lot of excitement around this signing. So I think this is probably something that you need to be paying attention to come fall. This is a sad news, but I always want to kind of share community news or things like that. And it's related to Auburn football. Apparently on Saturday, this past Saturday, February the 7th, a 22-year-old male was hospitalized after falling from a significant height inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. Now, I'm going to speculate a little bit here, and I'm being very clear about that. If you read the report about that, they were there after hours. I think it was after midnight. This is the night of the camp out, if I'm not mistaken, so you can imagine probably what was going on there. It looks like a group of people went in there, were not supposed to be in there, and unfortunately when they were eluding security, that incident happened. I think this person's okay from what I read, and it's going to make a full recovery, all that kind of stuff. But come on, folks, let's be smart about these things. Don't go inside Jordan-Hare when you're not supposed to be there. But that could have been a more tragic story than it was. If you have not seen the Sir Charles collection, if you didn't get it when you were there at the game this past weekend, it's out now at a lot of places. You can pretty much get it anywhere. If you want to help support us in a way, if you use Alumni Hall, go through our affiliate link. We've shared that out on social media. If you're going to be buying a Sir Charles thing, it supports them, supports us. It's a great way for you to get what you need and support what we do here. Last things that we have for you all on our news and info, alongside an already busy weekend on the Plains with tons of sports. Parker McCollum is going to be headlining the Friday full events here on the Plains with his concert schedule. The doors open at 6:30. This is at Neville, if you weren't aware. 7:30, Tyler Halverson opens up. Jake Worthington at 8:10, and then Parker McCollum will be on the stage. So lots and lots happening on the Plains. And a little bit of a shout out to Auburn men's hockey club team. They are in the playoffs. They start their playoffs competition against Ole Miss on Friday. And then Saturday, they'll take on potentially UGA, it looks like, and then could go on to the finals and things like that. But all that to be said, there's the majority of your news. And also double check some of the parking information that's out there for everything that's going on this week. There's some special things that are available to you for parking if you're coming to the Plains. All right, finally, let's catch you up or get you ready for the weekend. Here is what you have to look forward to. On Friday the 6th, track and field is splitting up. One is going to the David Himmery Valentine Invite in Boston. The other is going to Clemson for the Tiger Paw Invite. They will be competing all the way up until Saturday. Softball already in competition. We talked about how they dominated Illinois. They will move into the second day of competition and will face Bradley and Campbell, which is the Campbell Camels, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of hilarious.